It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye. Hello.
Hello, Aaron.
Hello, Miss Aaron. We are on Revelation 17. Today's a big video, a very important video. Lots of people have different opinions on who the harlot is, who Mystery Babylon is. Lots of scholars have their viewpoint. And so I really ask you, before I show you the evidence, to come here with an open heart, an open mind.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a hard pill for some people to swallow. I mean, most people know my viewpoint by this point. If you've been listening to all the videos, you know what I think. But really try and listen to the entire video, viewers, and I'm going to try and walk our way through who the harlot is. If you know who the harlot is, really the Bible really kind of makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, I used to think it was USA, and no, I was wrong for a couple of years, I think. And so I'm just going to be, yeah, exactly. We got to admit we're wrong once in a while, and improve. So, okay, so I'm just going to say it plainly, then we're going to read it, and then we're going to walk through it. I believe that the harlot is Jerusalem. And you might hear that and go, oh, how dare you? How dare you say it's Jerusalem? Jerusalem is supposed to be, perfect, and nothing wrong with Jerusalem. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible calls Jerusalem a harlot all over the Old Testament. And so, as we said in other videos, there's a lot of things in the book of Revelation, and we find the evidence in other parts of the Bible. It's all over the place in the Bible. And so the evidence is too much. It's all over the Old Testament. Jerusalem is called harlot and all this kind of stuff so many times. And the USA is not mentioned in the Bible once. The Vatican Church is not mentioned in the Bible once. What are some other options that people say? Shinar. No, it's not actually Babylon, because it's Mystery Babylon. There's a mystery to be solved here. So we're going to get into it, and we're going to read through it, and we'll explain ourselves as we go. So please listen with an open heart and a teachable heart. And like myself, I had to get over my thoughts over years of thinking it was U.S. and I had to swallow the humble pill and go, okay, I was wrong. That kind of thing. So, but it's important to have a teachable heart, have a soft heart, because if you don't have a teachable heart, you don't have a soft heart, if you're not willing to change your mind, if the truth comes, you're not going to grow. And it's super important to have a teachable, soft heart, impressionable, so when the truth comes, oh yeah, that makes sense. So of course, having said that, I still could be wrong, so hey, be your own Berean. But I think by the end of this, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, that makes complete 100% sense. You can't really say it any other way. So, okay, Revelation 17. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters. Okay, so there's a harlot, there's many waters. At the end of Revelation 17, in verse 15, it says, then he said to me, the waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So already, right out of the gate, waters doesn't mean waters, and the harlot isn't a literal harlot. It's a symbol of something. So water symbolize people groups, essentially. Peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And we're going to keep on reading here. So, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, so this woman is not actually sitting on a dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. There's symbolism here. And we've talked about how the 7 heads represent the 7 kingdoms. And these 10 horns are a symbol of, at the very end, there's going to be a 10-horn confederacy right before rapture. Maybe even now, there might even be something right now. Actually, we just learned in our study recently in Psalm 83. Psalm 83 is about a confederacy against Israel. And there's 10 nations listed in Psalm 83. How about that? We just kind of found that the other day. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So what we have here, actually, I'll just count it out. We have the tents, this is verse 6, the tents of Edom, Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarites, Gibel, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, Tyre, Assyria. 10. And this is a confederacy against Israel. The subheading in my Bible is Prayer to Frustrate Conspiracy Against Israel, Psalm 83. 10 nations coming against Israel. Is this the 10 horns? I'm not quite sure, but it might be a prophecy about these 10 horns. In the end times, there's going to be, in my opinion, a clear-cut 10-horn group of either nations or kings or something set up right near the end. And because of what we're reading right here, 7 kings and 10 horns. Now the 7 kings, we're going to get into that later on. I drew this picture a long time ago. But Jerusalem has been around with all the kingdoms of the world. We've got Egypt, number 1. We've got Assyria, number 2. We've got Medo-Persia. Babylon, number 3. Medo-Persia, number 4. Greece, number 5. And we got Western Rome, number 6, and Eastern Rome. I should have wrote Eastern Rome there, number 7. This is associated with Daniel's statue, the head of gold, the chest of silver, Medo-Persia, the thighs of bronze, I believe, and then the legs of iron. Daniel talked about the kingdoms, but the book of Revelation is now talking about all the major 7 kingdoms of the world, from the beginning, which was Egypt, to the end, which is now. So the beast has 7 heads. It's not really an actual beast flying around. It's figurative of the kingdoms of this world. And so this harlot, this nation has played the harlot with all these nations. And the Bible tells us that Jerusalem played the harlot with Egypt. Jerusalem played the harlot with Assyria. And Jerusalem played the harlot with Babylon. It tells us plain as day in Ezekiel 16. So I'll read it. I'll go read that right now. This is Ezekiel 16, verse 26. It says, "You also committed harlotry with the Egyptians." And this is talking about Jerusalem in this chapter. So Ezekiel 16:26. "You also committed harlotry with the Egyptians, your very fleshy neighbors, and increased your acts of harlotry to provoke me to anger." Okay, go down 2 verses. Ezekiel 16:28. "You also played the harlot with the Assyrians." Well, that's the second kingdom on this list. Go down 2 more verses. Verse 29, actually, this next verse. "Moreover, you multiplied your acts of harlotry as far as the land of the trader of Chaldea." Chaldea is another word for Babylon. "And even then you were not satisfied." So Ezekiel 16 tells us that Jerusalem was the harlot with the first 3 kingdoms on earth. And Jerusalem has always been playing the harlot with the following kingdoms: Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome. Jesus came when Jerusalem was under Roman rule. They were mingling with all these kingdoms. They've always been around. And so Ezekiel 16 doesn't say USA played the harlot with these kingdoms. It didn't exist back then. Jerusalem didn't say the Catholic Church. It didn't exist back then. And again, some people think it's Rome because Rome sits on 7 physical hills. There's like 7 hills or mountains, but again, these are not actual mountains. We're going to read about, it's going to say 7 mountains, but it's not literally 7 mountains. The mountains represent kingdoms. So, okay, we're going to keep on reading. What verse was I on? Around 3 or something? Yeah, I just finished 4. Oh, okay. Yes, we're going to read 4. "The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead was a name written, Mystery. Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. Okay, so she's guilty. Jerusalem's guilty of killing the prophets, of killing the saints. Okay, what does Jesus say in Matthew 23? Just before the Olivet Discourse, when the disciples are asking, when are all the end times things going to happen? Well, this is what he says right at the end of Matthew 23, verse 37. "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets." Jesus said it. The Bible tells us that Jerusalem is guilty of killing the prophets. Well, this harlot is guilty of killing the saints and the martyrs of Jesus in verse 6. So everything that we see in Revelation 17 is all supported in the New and Old Testament. You just got to go find the answers. We could actually go through this. I could probably spend 3 hours on all the evidence. It's in Hosea, it's in Jeremiah, it's in all sorts of the minor prophets. It's all over the Bible how Jerusalem has played the harlot, and there's no other evidence for any other nation. Okay, so now we're on verse 7. "But the angel said to me, 'Why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns.'" So this angel is saying it's a mystery. This angel is saying it's not a literal woman. It's not a literal woman sitting on a literal dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. It's a mystery to be solved. So if the woman's a mystery and the heads are a mystery and the horns are a mystery, then it's not actual Babylon. It's mystery Babylon. It's a little bit of a riddle to solve here. And verse 8, "The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, and those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains." So a little pause there. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Mountains represent kingdoms in the Bible. We can go to Daniel to show you that evidence. But essentially, the heads are also described as mountains. In other words, they're kingdoms. They're not physical rocky mountains. It's a representation of a kingdom. Okay, so 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Now, my version, this is New King James Version. Unfortunately, the version that I read, which I actually like this version a lot, but the New King James Version didn't do a great job translating it. There's other versions that do a better job. My version in verse 10 says, "There are also 7 kings." But many great translations, I don't know which ones they are. I think ESV, many others, say this. From verse 9, it'll say something like this. "The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings." So most translations will connect 9 and 10 to be the same thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, my Bible says something different.
Yeah. So essentially what's going on here is some translations have really confused people. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. In other words, they're 7 kingdoms. And this is where it makes complete sense. It says 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. Has 5 physical mountains fallen in the history of humanity? Of course not. No. Has 5 kingdoms fallen by the time John was writing this? Absolutely. John wrote this under Roman rule, which was the 6th kingdom. That's just exactly what he's trying to say. 5 kingdoms have already passed, which is Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece. 1 is Rome, which Revelation is written under the Roman rule, and 1 is yet to come. The Eastern Roman Empire was yet to come, because it split Western and Eastern Rome. Which completely makes Daniel's statue make sense, because it was legs of iron. Western and was divided, it says in Daniel 2. So we're going to go to Daniel just to prove that mountains equal kingdoms in terms of representation. Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and he dreams about the kingdoms. The gold head, Babylon, silver, Medo-Persia, bronze, and iron legs. And I'm just going to get right to, just go right to the end here. Well, I'll read this first. Daniel 2:35. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So Nebuchadnezzar was dreaming about all these kingdoms, and Jesus, there's a representation of him being the stone that's going to crush all these kingdoms, and his mountain is going to be the kingdom. And then at the end of this, near the end of this chapter, verse 44, so Daniel 2:44, and in the days of the kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom, so we're talking about kingdoms here, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces of iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. So Daniel has associated mountains with kingdoms. Revelation is saying the 7 heads are 7 mountains. In the very chapter that Daniel is associating mountains with kingdoms, we're talking about kingdoms. Very clear. Mountains represent kingdoms because Daniel 2 is very clearly showing that to us. So going back, 5 have fallen, one is yet to come. 5 kingdoms have already passed. Jerusalem has already played the harlot with these 5. One is, Jerusalem is currently playing the harlot with this, and what is yet to come. Okay, and then we're going to read a bit further now. Verse 11. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. So, in my little thing here, this little tiny 8th mountain, it's that final short-term little kingdom that the Antichrist is going to rule and reign. Most people agree it's 7 years of tribulation. That's this little tiny short-term little kingdom. That's that 8th little kingdom that's talking about. And he's going to have his little moment, and that's it. Second coming, he gets put into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years, according to Revelation 20, verse 3. And the beast and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire, and at the end of Revelation 19. But he does have a little short window of time to do what he's got to do for those 7 years, especially the last 3.5 years. But okay, so verse 12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet. Notice there's no crowns on these 10 horns right now. No crowns, no kingdom as of yet. But remember, in Revelation 13, they had crowns on their head. So there's a reverse of timing here. You can see no crowns here in Revelation 17. We're going to read in a second that they go after the harlot. They hate the harlot. They want to destroy the harlot. 10 horns. But we read in Psalm 83, there's 10 nations that come against Israel. And it's probably very likely a prophetic connection with this. Really good chance. Okay, so the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as of yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. So there is this one little short window of time, they do receive authority. Now remember, Revelation 12, in my opinion, is about the rapture. The male child being caught up to the throne, the woman giving birth to this male child. It's not Jesus, it's the church, because this male child is being chased by the 7 heads, the 7 kingdoms. Jesus was born under that 6th kingdom. Mm-hmm. And these 10 horns are on the beast, but the 10 horns don't have crowns. It's a very similar timing to this Babylon destruction too. After the rapture, then comes the destruction of harlot, then the 10 horns get their crowns in Revelation 13. And then they give their power to the beast. So again, in the order of chapter numbers and events, Revelation 12, the male child's caught up, the rapture of the church. The 10 horns don't have crowns. Next order of events, Revelation 17, 10 horns go after the harlot. Revelation 13, 10 horns have crowns. They give their power to the beast. That makes most logical sense of sequence of events for the book of Revelation. So, okay, verse 13. So we're talking about the 10 horns. These are of one mind. And they will give their power and authority to the beast. Well, that's what happens in Revelation 13. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Like Jerusalem is, right now, everybody is so obsessed. So many countries are so obsessed about what Israel's doing. Why? Because it's prophecy. Like Iran wants to, they got bombs saying death to Israel. They're always chanting death to Israel. Well, it's prophetic because they're part of that Persian Empire. Turkey is also, we're told that Turkey is eventually going to come against Israel. They have all these sanctions and stuff like that against Israel. It's all prophetic. Russia is coming in, and they've been doing that for the last couple of years with Ukraine. Russia, Turkey, and Iran are the three main players in Ezekiel 38 that are supposed to come against Israel. Jerusalem is more and more becoming the center of the news, whether we like it or not. And they're like the center of the Middle East conflict. Always has been and always will be until Jesus comes back. So, okay, so verse 16. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is that great city, which reigns over the kings of the earth. And that is Revelation 17. I've got on my notes there Hosea chapter 2, verse 2. It says, I bring charges against your mother. Bring charges, for she is not my wife, nor am I her husband. Let her put away her harlotries from her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. So he's talking about Israel here, Judah, and he actually had Hosea marry a harlot. It says, go take yourself a wife of harlotry and the children of harlotry from the land, for the land has committed great harlotry by departing from the Lord. So a lot of these prophets have really odd ministries and really odd things. So he's basically asking Hosea, go marry a harlot because I want you to experience what I've experienced with Jerusalem. There's so much evidence in the Old Testament of all this. And Jeremiah 3 is another spot to highlight. Again, we can do this, we can really do this all day long. We can read all of Ezekiel 16. We can read all of Jeremiah 23. I'm just going to read one more verse here in the Old Testament. Jeremiah 3, verse 8. Then I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah did not fear, but went and played the harlot also. So harlotry and adultery, it's a repetitive theme. They went after other gods. They mingled with other nations. They started to adapt their religions. It just was a constant cycle in the Old Testament. So people get a little bit hung up with, well, how can it be Jerusalem because Jesus is going to come and rule in Jerusalem, what's going on with that? I don't really get it, So they have a hard time with that. But you got to look at the spiritual side of this whole thing. Like, the spiritual, like Jerusalem's also called Sodom or Sodoma. In Revelation 11 it says, and their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually is called Sodom, and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So Revelation is calling Jerusalem Sodom, spiritually Sodom, where Jesus was crucified. Well, Jesus was crucified in Jerusalem. So the book of Revelation is also calling it Sodom. So think of Jerusalem in two contexts. There's the people that went after other gods in Jerusalem, and they basically took on the spirit of Sodom. Say that. Think of it like in a spiritual sense now. And there's some people in Jerusalem that still held on to the values of God, and they didn't do that stuff. And so we have group A and group B. We have an A group in Jerusalem, we have a B group in Jerusalem. So really what's happening is, yes, there's going to be a physical destruction of Jerusalem, but really what's happening is God is getting rid of that Sodom spirit when he destroys Jerusalem. He's getting rid of the evil that is running it right now. He is bringing his kingdom into Jerusalem, but he's got to get out the evil first. And so that's really what's happening. It's a spiritual destruction. It's not so. It is going to be a physical. It's definitely a physical, but more importantly, it's a spiritual destruction of evil. Demons out, evil gone. It's going to be ruled and reigned with Christ as the king. But right now, we a lot of people call Satan the little g god of this world. He has a certain degree of authority right now, but when Jesus comes back, he'll have full authority. Satan won't, and he will be ruling and reigning in Jerusalem, which has never happened before. So evil will be gone. The evil government will be gone. The righteous, perfect government will be in place when Jesus is here. So, and then of course we have something called the New Jerusalem later on in the Bible. We start to get introduced to that. I believe it's in Revelation 20. Well, if there's a New Jerusalem, that means there's an Old Jerusalem. Old Jerusalem is gone. New Jerusalem comes in. That kind of idea. So, with the old and with the new, with the harlot, adultery, wickedness, the spiritual side of the Jerusalem, and in with the righteous judgment of God into the New Jerusalem, and all who are true believers. And there you go. So, there you go. There's Revelation 17. Revelation 18 is more of an extension of all this, more detail. But this is, like I said, this is probably one of the hardest pills to swallow. Even after this video, there'll be people fighting in the comments saying I don't know anything. That's what they do. That's what people do. Haters are going to hate. But I really think biblically, this is really the only explanation. Yeah. There's no other explanation with any other nation, because you have to use the Bible to interpret the Bible. And we can't go outside of the Bible to make this make sense. And that's the mistake of calling USA the harlot, is going outside of the Bible and using our own imagination. Okay, well, USA did this and USA did that, or the Catholic Church did do that one bad thing, and they kind of, we start to use our imagination, but we don't want to use our imagination. We really want to use Scripture. We see something in Revelation 17. Oh, it says that in Ezekiel 16. Okay, well then there we go. Then we start to eliminate our own opinions. So we just, okay, well, it is what it is. So, okay. Okay, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Go Jesus go, one day closer, and adios muchachos.